Uh, okay.
Okay, I started forward the recording. Um, Sorry about that. I cannot find the passage here. I'm gonna have to come forward, and I don't want to misspeak. Because this is something that I researched. Um, I read about it in a book from Bob Marley, but I actually researched um separate in astrological works just to verify that this was a phenomenon, and it was indeed a phenomenon, an astrological phenomenon that people, astrologers commented on outside of any connection to His Majesty. So it really was a very powerful um, alignment in the constellation. So I can't find it often, and I don't want to quote anything wrong, but the full account is in the book in terms of the significance, the connection in Ethiopian history. As I said, Emperor Zeri Jacob, who was one of the great kings from the Solomonic line, was born at the previous connection of that alignment of the constellation, which happened in the 16th century. Before that, um, so it was His Majesty's birth, not only, and then of course, remember that he's born July 23rd, which is the first day of the constellation of Leo. So these are not things that we made up, that we're trying to um, pin him in the month of the lion, and therefore he's born. These are things that are manifesting. These are historical signposts. He who have eyes, let them see. He who have ears, let them hear. These are things that the elect and the chosen in this Armageddon time would be able to see as signposts, as markers, both on earth and in the heavens, that he is the man. And just because he was born on July 23rd doesn't mean that he would establish the OAU, doesn't mean that he would triumph over Italian fascism, or that, he would rise a new order. Um, doesn't mean that he would be able to establish schools and airlines and bring this ancient kingdom into modernity within the space of a generation. None of that is assured because he's born July 23rd, at this particular constellation in the heavens at the end of a drought. None of that is assured. It's when we put the whole picture together again, and we aggregate all of the facts, that the history becomes greater than fantasy, that the facts become greater than the fiction. Is when we look at the total, is when we see the glory and the honor and the majesty. So I sorry, I can't go into the detail, Queen Mother Moses, but it's in the book, and ones them can check it.
Thank you, Mother Moses, for that question. Sister Ngacy, was your hand up?
I saw Queen Mother Dr. Chinzira earlier had her hand up. So
Yes, Dr. Chinzua, I noted a hand, and Siwaju, they
Oh,
will
are
come
you
later.
into your? Yeah. Well, because Red's for a few more. I want to
Okay, Dr. Chinzua, you can come in, Mother.
Give thanks. Blessed heart to love, Rastafari family. My first portion is just to give thanks and praise to Dejazmatch for just giving us a concise, because he could have went on longer. Those of us that know, this could have been like a series of expression that gives like each portion of the life, the legacy of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie first. I think it's really critical that we keep that kind of energy in the forefront. My question is, please share some of the ways that we can extend this work in schools, in universities, and in our wider community. Like, just what are some of the additional techniques and strategies that you suggest for us to get this information in the hands of our youth as well as the elders that don't give thanks.
Well, this is my mission right now in life that you have touched on. So I'm glad that you have asked this question. Well, first of all, I would implore those of us who can to get this book and, reach out to your local schools and have them included on the reading list or in the curriculum, so that the young people, I wrote it with young people in mind. So I didn't write it as a dry history. I tried to make it interesting as possible. So if we can get the book out there, that would be a great strength. But the other part of it is also content creation. We have to create content around different aspects of the birth that will, cause it to be part of the popular culture. We're in a different world today. We're in an online space. So if we're not in these spaces creating this type of content, then we're going to lose the youth then, because it's very important. I would like to see an animated film created from this book. That's part of my mission with the Lion Voice Network. Once we can get it to the point where we have the funding, that's one of the things that I will be investing into, is creating content for young people, particularly that highlights our worldview and our world narrative, because it doesn't just extend to Ethiopian history. Our worldview also extends to West, South Africa, Central, Northern African history, the way that we view the world from an African lens. There are a multitude of stories that need to be told in creative ways. When I look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is, big in Hollywood, and you have a movie called Thor, Odin's son. And when you know that that is really Norse mythology, and these are the gods of Sweden, Norway, and their young people look at these stories and these traditions and they can find expression, and it would make them go and research their own histories and their own stories about their gods and their worldview. So Europeans have managed to preserve their ancestry and their worldview within pop culture. I mean, even the days of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, these all come from Norse mythology. You know what I mean? So they have encoded their worldview in culture. We as Africans must do the same. And to amplify the work, again, empower ones who are doing the work. If you're not subscribed to the Lion Voice Network, become a part. We are creating a movement to bring this type of content to the world. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you see a young Dejazmatch Kwasi on the mission, support him, because he's going to do the work either way. But it's good to know that someone, and I take that approach when I'm partnering with people. Or after 20 years in the faith, I don't try to find someone new doing something and convince them to do something. It's always best to find someone who's already doing the work and empower that person, because everything that we're doing in Rastafari, there's somebody already take up that on their shoulder. There's nothing that we need to try invent and to find out. There's someone who has that on their shoulder, and they are not being supported because we have been taught to watch and see if somebody will fail. We have been taught to say, oh, he's still doing that, or oh, she's still doing that, but we never try to give us strength. But we will support Netflix, we will support Amazon, we will support all of these other platforms, and then we wonder why we don't have our own platforms and our own stories. So this is so important for I and I. Again, support I and I works. I will guarantee the item that we will execute content strictly from a Rastafari perspective, unapologetically, Rasta. And I know the great thing about I is that I know the people already. I know Rastafari animators, top of the line. I know storytellers. I know, so we already have the capacity to do what I'm talking about. What we need is the capital and the structures and the institutions. And that's, again, the mission that I'm on right now is to create that content structure, because repatriation, as we return to the continent, that content battle is key. And that owning the narrative battle is key in terms of how we shape the rising. Because remember that Africa, 75% of the continent is under 30. We're dealing with a young continent. So with that comes the opportunity to shape the future like there is nowhere else on the planet Earth. So to answer your question, Honorable Queen Mother, Dr. Chenzira, one of I'm an inspiration, and this group, I'm glad you're here with this group because most of New Race Consciousness comes out of the university space. Dr. Chenzira, former department chair, current professor at University of UVI, governs in that space, comfortable in that space. So these connections, and we just have to support each other, become aware of what each other is doing, and together we will make the change. We will become that change that we want to be. But it starts with call your local library, make sure they have the book, call the local high school, the preschool, take them a copy, let them read it, let them introduce it, start homeschool collectives, Saturday schools, where we can read the book, where we can create plays based on the history, where we can create little short TikTok videos based on the history, where we can, content. We can create content that sparks the mind, that sparks the interest of ones to go out and search this great history and this great story. Because remember, they tried to erase Kadamawi Haile Selassie from the annals of human history. If you read the history, the League of Nations, all of that gets a footnote in most places in history, and I know because I took international law at Howard University and I was searching for this history. I had to write an article for the paper, this Howard newspaper, about the League of Nations speech, and it's important to international law and precedent and security and all these things. It's not out there. So it's we, family, that have to tell this story. Give thanks.
Isis ancient. Royal family, due to time, will have to limit ourselves to one hand of a question. I humbly apologize for this. Queen Mother Moses, it seems as if you had a follow-up question. We will try to accommodate it later, but now I would like to note
To the chair, it's
Kemal.
not a question. It's not a question. It's about the strategy and how we in the Empress Men in Atlanta Collective of Empress of Zion, how we do book clubs. And our next book that we are doing and ordering in bulk is the Dejazmatch Kwasi's book. Last month we did it was only yesterday, which is the book by His Majesty's great-granddaughter. Facts we going with, because we are spiritual scientists with evidence of our spirituality of the Rastafari faith. Give thanks for that comment.
Queen Mother Moses, more strength to the works, Mother Isis. I would now like to take this opportunity and afford ancient Siwatu Kemal Limblek the opportunity to ask a question. Isis.
Greetings, Camille Libla. Yes, family. Kwasi, Bongo Kwasi, give praise for our strength and the works they are doing. Keep on the work. And a question like that, what is the name of the book? And that program, that Zoom program, wouldn't it be available online for us? Because I think the history, it would be nice if you could touch on Lion Voice so the wider audience can get to it, because as much people not on the Zoom. I share the link, but I don't think they will be able to get a replay of it because Zoom is only one time. So I was asking whether that would be available on the Lion's Voice, that program, especially that little story there, because it's vital for and the generation. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the name of the book, so you can post it forward on my links and everything.
So,
Yes, I.
yes, I. The name of the book is Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, Volume 1, The Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings. Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, Volume 1, The Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings. There's an ebook. It's available on Kindle at Amazon, but we prefer if you order it direct from Bookman Express, because of the, Amazon. But if you're outside of the United States, then Amazon would be the most sense. But if you're in North America, or you can have access to shipping, then I would say order it direct from the publisher. If you're not in North America, then you can get it off of Amazon Books. And also, with the permission of New Race Consciousness, we can certainly put this on the Lion Voice Network. This is their event. I was invited by New Race Consciousness, so whatever they want to do with the recording, we can discuss, but definitely, if they would like, I will post it on the Lion Voice Network.
Yes, I. Tafari. I. Give praise and guidance to the family and
Yes.
Young of His Majesty.
And give thanks for the coming in, Rasua too, and
Yes,
the I works as a young lion, same way. We give thanks and, constant inspiration. The time is now, family, for us to come together. And I really just want us to come together. The Lion Voice Network is a community platform. So, I interview ones about the works they're doing. We only have positive content on the Lion Voice Network. We're not into what people are doing behind the scenes. Everybody have them story, but what we are interested in is highlighting all of the different skills of ones and all of the diversity of thought and, inspire people to know that Rastafari is wide, and it's, that's why we say we're non-aligned independent media, because we have Naya Bingi, we have 12 Tribe, we have Bobo Shanti, we have non-aligned. Everybody has a voice on the Lion Voice Network. So we're really building this platform, and I look forward, if I ever, when I reach South Africa, Lion Voice Network will be there. And we would record it for the global family. So I will leave it there because I know the time is nigh.
Isis Ancient, give thanks. Thank you all for your thoughtful questions. That's all the time we have for today. I am now handing over to the facilitator, Ras Ainiti.
Yes, I give thanks. Give thanks, family, for the wonderful interaction and engagement and reasoning that I and I would have had, during the question and answer session after a wonderful presentation by our Honorable Dejazmatch Kwasi, even about the book. Even we give thanks for the opportunity that this platform would have created for once and once to be familiar with the material, and also want to make a request, even give thanks for Mother Moses and the Empress of Zion, organization that would have initiated the works of even disseminating the works and availing the works also for a wider reach. Even and I would like to join the works that Mother Moses would have initiated of disseminating such material, as the Dejazmatch Kwasi also indicated that also thinking about engaging and linking with new race consciousness. And also the suggestion about posting the video in the Lion Network platform. I think that is welcome, highly welcome, beloved. This may be the initiative of NRC, but it is all I collective works, so I have a collective ownership and responsibility, to disseminate and make the teachings of His Majesty to reach out all four corners of the earth. So we give thanks and ISIS for the strength that is there to make sure that the works spread out through all the platforms which are existing, which also some of the platforms NRC may not be able to have a reach at. So we give thanks and ISIS. Yes, well, at this I see Honorable Dejazmatch that due to that slight glitch that I do not have the ability to share now, but we are now.
Hold on. Let me
Right.
give that forward to the eye. Hold on. Okay. Let me ensure that the eye can seal up within an islandness. Highly. I also want to acknowledge I RMO family, Ras Jabali Siba, calling in from Trelawney, Jamaica. House of Siba has been doing very powerful work, humanitarian work in Jamaica. We are featuring them on our latest episode of Lion Voice that came out last night. So please, ones, you can see they were assisting ones who were affected by Hurricane Beryl with cash, food, clothing, and these things. So we want to highlight the powerful works being done by the Rastafari family in Jamaica. So big up yourself, Ras Jabali, and the House of Siba family.
Yes, I give thanks, big up yourself, Rasabali, and hopefully Aina will link up more time. We give thanks that the I was able to make it also on this platform. Make Aina extend the working relation beyond this platform, and see what good Aina can bring forward together. We give thanks. Yes, well, at this time, Aina would like to introduce INI next section, which is the general reasoning, basically on the Rastafari man, woman, and child standard, based on maybe the levity, the life example of His Majesty and the inspiration that His Majesty would have given INI and that his life would have set for INI, So yes, it's a general discussion. Anyone may raise their hand and make an input, give a reasoning and insight in terms of what I understand about what is a Rastafari man, woman, and child standard. Yes, I see Dejazmatch Kwasi, the eyes raising their hand.
Yes, I want to touch this because this is a topic I tackle on my platform. We introduced something called the Rastafari Man Standard, because I hold brethren accountable first as a brethren. The standard that has been set is by His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I. And so the chat has gotten very loosey-goosey. You know what I mean? I think that we become very relaxed. Our public relation has primarily come through our singers and our players of instruments. And with the music industry comes a level of indiscipline, or can come a level of indiscipline. And I think it has seeped through the levity. And this is why we emphasize a return to the source, a return to His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, and his chosen Queen Empress was Zero Menen as our standard in terms of how we carry ourselves in public spaces, in terms of how we approach education, in terms of how we approach development. Our youths, we want them to be diligent, like Lich Tafari, like Empress Menen was as a young princess, highly literate, highly intelligent, active. We want to encourage wealth attainment from a young age, financial literacy. My colleague, Dr. Walete Beresford, and her colleague, Dr. Ya Santoa, and I see Dr. Ya Santoa Kingman on the call, Bridget Raskojo, bless up yourself. And when they went to Ethiopia to research Empress Menen and Yeshimabet and these things, they were brought out a cart that consisted of various deeds owned by Empress Menen and showing that she was collecting rents, her financial records. And I think we don't examine what it means to be nobility or royalty as a faith. You know, we have almost demonized wealth. You know, as a liberty, we've made poverty a badge of honor. And we have to understand we come from a royal lineage. And that doesn't mean that we must be tyrannical or we must be greedy. But it's okay to own property and trusts and estates and to administrate for the benefit of the people and to be financially compensated for those same works and to build institutions that also make money serving the people and to become wealthy. These are things that we have to normalize within Rastafari liberty. And these are conduct that we have to, in terms of morality, has to become the standard. So I have a couple of videos where I go very detailed in, 7 aspects of the Rastafari man standard in terms of the different areas, breaking it down. So I think that is where we need to start a rites of passage program for Brethren and for Sistren that takes them through the stages of Lidge, Dejazmatch, Ras, Migos, Nugus and Agas, that gives you, and there should be clearly defined benchmarks at each of these levels that we can measure ourselves or that we aspire to, so that when I meet someone and they're a Ras such and such, I should be assured that this is someone of high quality and standard. And I should say, where were you certified as a Ras? And they say, well, I was certified within the New Race Consciousness, or I was certified within the Empress of Zion, or I was certified within a recognized entity. So we know that there's a source and there's a standard. It might be different, but there are certain commonalities across the board. We have to formalize the trot and the liberty. And if we don't, then the loosey-goosey will become entrenched and the hippieization will become something that, as we see what they've done with the legacy of Bob Marley, where they've tried to divorce him from that heretical Rastafari and try just make him a general one love type of, we don't really know why him a defend type of thing. So if we don't take the reins and formalize, I think that we are going to not produce the high standard that should be normal from one's claiming the name of our Imperial Majesties. Give thanks.
Yes, I give thanks, Honorable Dejazmatch Kwasi, for that rich input on the Rastafari man, woman, child standard. As I would have heard, the I has extensive engagement on this topic on his platform. So I would go out and get the videos for I so that I get in depth into the reasoning. Give thanks. Yes, Papa Moabi, the I raise the hand.
No, thank you, Papa Tulo. Thanks, Papa Dejazmatch Kwasi. I think, Papa Tulo, I won't be that long because Papa Dejazmatch Kwasi has already said quite what I wanted to take off from as a springboard. And I was going to base this mainly from what he had spoken to earlier in his presentation about Her Majesty as a role model. So this standard, as I also noted, the input by Queen Madam Moses. It's I much this standard. It's a royal standard. But I think what we also need to be quite honest about is the fact that it's a high the state of African royalty in general. You would begin to understand how difficult it is. Why it's also important for an emphasis to be made within those other royal houses to maintain the standard. Because if you were to take any other tribe on the African continent, their tradition, their customs, and values are based on the cultural value system of the royal houses that they belong to. I will make an example of a circumcision. If in the Zulu kingdom or nation, it is said that there's no circumcision, there's no any other house that is lower than the royal house that's going to practice that, as it is known that the word of the king is the law. For INI community, it's very, very important to internalize this. And I think most of the ancients and the elders have spoken extensively on this and sort of like tried to provide a guide for INI. It's one of the genesis factors that led to the establishment of new race consciousness. When it said in its vision statement, as it was outlined in the introduction by Opapa Mutwin, that the organization will take the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menenai as the cornerstone. And not only the cornerstone for upon which we can guide and lead our lives as members of the organization, but also to seek to make a contribution in perfecting world affairs. That this standard, it's not only a standard upon which an African family can look, an institution and of organizations that we find they emanate from a family. That you can then elevate it to higher levels within SADC, within the AU, within the United Nations. As our presenter has indicated, that there is a deliberate attempt to sort of like write the emperor of the history books. And it is true, that's what some of us encountered even within that space that Dejazmatch has referred to. He spoke within international law, but even within the study of international relations, when the history of how World War II it's been started, it's been narrated, it's been told as if there was no Ethiopia at all. There was no aggression by Italy on the Ethiopian state. Then the other point that I would like to touch on, it's on the economic empowerment. I think that it is very, very important. It has been said for many, many years. I think it's a proper characterization, if I put it that way, that it has been said before, by the elders many years ago, the importance of organization and centralization, to organize and centralize around economic empowerment and enterprises. It's something that we should place an indictment upon ourselves globally, and most importantly on the African continent, as much as we all know how rich it is endowed in terms of mineral riches. The failure to do it at community-based level. There are initiatives that have been taken through government-to-government relations, but people-to-people's relations, I think there's a lot of support that is needed. And some of that support, of course, it needs to come from the government. There's the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement that's meant to open up opportunities. The diaspora, African diaspora, is the 6th region, you know. So because all this works, you know, all the content creation and all other programs that the organization and all our organizations that we belong to in our various platforms need resources. And economic empowerment, you know, it's very important. It's another standard. It's the second objective that the OAU had set itself upon. And this is a gradual approach. We all remember that in the formation of the OAU, there was one draft that sought to create an immediate continental union of Africa, but that proposal was not supported. What was rather supported was the Ethiopian draft that proposed a gradual approach. And in that gradual approach, the second phase is economic liberation. And we have the AU Agenda S63, 2063, that places an emphasis precisely on economic freedom, independence of the African continent. I think that's what we also need to look into. There's a trust that has been established rather with the Master of the High Court in the Free State by NRC, with an intention to serve as a vehicle to sort of like fast track or create a springboard for all these economic initiatives. So I think, Papa Tula, I would like to leave it there. There's quite a lot that we would have loved to share on this most important item. Likewise, as Ayman have earlier on indicated, it was brilliantly presented by Papa Dejazmatch. Kwasi. Thank you. Give thanks.
Yes, I give thanks, Papa Moabi, for the engagement. Yes, Papa Moabi is the Chief Director of New Race Consciousness, also a founding member of the Consciousness. Yes, Jabali Seba Elder, give thanks.
Yes, sir, blessed love. Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty to ones on the continent. Question to ask Kwasi. Can I view your page, Lion Voice, and I see you speak of RMO a lot. Can I touch on that a little bit for me?
Say that again, King.
Yeah, RMO, I want you to touch on a little bit.
Okay, yes. So the RMO is the Rastafari Mansion, an organization. It's a all-mansion effort that's taking place in Jamaica currently, featuring 14 different houses and mansions that have signed on to a constitution that essentially is saying that ones are agreeing to work with one voice. So House of Seba is one of the members. The Rastafari School of Vision is a member. The House of Dread, the Empress of Zion, the Association of Rastafari Creatives, the Kanakure Sanctuary, the Rastafari Indigenous Village, Leonard Howell Foundation, the Bobo Shanti, Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress is also the major mansion that has signed on board. We're still waiting for the Nyabingi House and the 12 Tribe of Israel to formally become part of the process. But we also have Root House out of Montego Bay. I think I said Starscape Sanctuary. And, you know, we have many more that have expressed some level of interest. So it's a process, it's an ongoing process. Coral Garden Benevolent Society is another entity. And, you know, we are getting ready to celebrate 1 year anniversary since its formal adoption of the Constitution. And the fullness of the RMO is that, you know, we're really looking to establish an economic foundation for the movement. So we're currently working on an economic development plan. One of the pillars of that is the Harambe Hall. And if you watch the Lion Voice Network, you know, we have featured about the Harambe Hall. We have an episode coming up that's going to just be about the Harambe Hall. We were there at the last Harambe Hall taking footage. So we're going to put together something that really just detail what the Harambe Hall is all about. But basically, it's a town hall meeting and a farmer's market, and also an opportunity for vendors to come and share. And then also we have entertainment, cultural entertainment, Nyabingi, Isis as well. So it's a Rastafari Expo. And we're going to be using these Harambe halls as a means to connect with the local communities around Jamaica. We'll be touring around Jamaica. So far, we've done Trelawney and Montego Bay. Next one will be in Kingston, in at the House of Dread in August. And, you know, it's basically really just gathering the strength right now. We're gearing up to fight a battle around the sacrament and Rastafari right to trade in the sacrament. So the Jamaica law gives it ones the ability to possess, theoretically. But if ones have above a certain amount, the government has been arresting and prosecuting ones, including our brethren on this call, Rashtabali Siba has endured this persecution. So we are gearing up to fight that battle. And at the same time, as I said, create economic foundation. The RMO will also be reaching out to partner with other regional and global institutions. So we know that there's a CRO, Caribbean Rastafari Organization, and we know that there's the RCC, Rastafari Continental Congress. So we definitely, the RMO will be reaching out to these entities, but the priority is to secure Jamaica in terms of ensuring that we're strong on the ground. We're in the process of establishing a trust, which will be the principal entity that the RMO will operate through, so that any of the companies owned by RMO will be owned by the trust. And we'll have a board of trustees that will have representatives from all of the different member mansions and organizations. So it's a powerful effort. And, you know, Lion Voice Network will be covering Uprising. And we are committed to the INITY. But again, the INITY have to have form, have to have structure. You know, there have to be mechanisms for membership so that we can know who is with us, not just because they show up at an event, but because there is a commitment, because they're registered, because they are, you know, we know who they are and what skills they bring to the table. So that is the evolution that we are currently taking place. Also, food sovereignty is the priority of the RMO. And we just had a hurricane. I mentioned that House of Seba was at the forefront of providing assistance to Rastafari community in Portland Cottage. If you watch the Lion Voice episode, as I said, we included some footage from that. Money, clothing, these things, but that's one entity that's leading the charge. We want to make these things more systematic in terms of making sure that we are able to respond to disaster relief, making sure that if the global shipping or when the global shipping, because I spoke to the item about the global war taking place, and it's only a matter of time before global shipping is shut down or severely reduced. And we want to make sure that Rastafari communities can feed ourselves without reliance on going to the grocery store where they're selling only imported goods. Ras Jabali is a farmer, and many of the members of House of Seba are farmers. So both of sacrament and of produce. So that is very instrumental to what RMO represents in terms of creating business around agriculture. We will also be launching an ITAL certification standard. That is kind of the crown jewel that the RMO, the word sound ITAL originated in Jamaica. Reality's word sound originated this intellectual property. And so we're really looking to harness the power of the word ITAL by creating a standard that would rival the kosher and halal standard that the Jew have and the Muslim have. But our ITAL standard would be the highest on the planet Earth, strictly reliant on plant-based inputs, heirloom seeds, genetics, and harvesting that includes a spiritual aspect, whether it be the harps, the chanting to the plants, the prayers, psalms, whatever. So it's a multifaceted certification system that we will be developing. And the intention, of course, is that this would be implemented globally, which is why we would require connection with the regional and international Rastafari collective, because we see agriculture as one of the major ways that we will accumulate wealth for our community, and the ITAL standard will give us that competitive advantage in the marketplace during this third world war, where people will be wanting nutritious food at reasonable rates, because hyperinflation is coming and genetically modified food is already contaminated the food supply. So I and I are well positioned to be able to carve out a niche market share of billions of dollars annually based on ITAL standard, which would apply not only to produce, but also to ganja and unique strains that would be compliant, ITAL standard compliant. So we're in the midst of a great revolution and uprising, economic revolution and uprising, and this is why it gives us great joy to be on the line with our South Africa family currently. And I expressed this to Ras Ainiti in our interview because he was expressing that the item were looking to do some reggae shows and different things to raise money to implement the 5-year plan of the new race consciousness. And I just requested that the ones in addition to cultural entertainment, which, I'm an entertainment attorney, I know that industry very well. It's a very difficult industry, that we also focus on agribusiness and urban agriculture, and make sure that we lock in that wherever there's a Rastafari community, that we are in control of our food supply, seed to table, and all things, and that nations know they can come to I&I for that nutritional dense food. So this includes soil management, the highest of all things, natural, and the culmination of this great tradition that our elders have bequeathed to I&I. So I say all of that to say that is really the RMO agenda in a nutshell, but you'll be hearing more information. And if you keep in tune with the Lion Voice Network, again, the unfolding will be there so that the item can see. And I've also interviewed most of the representatives of the RMO on the platform as well. So you can go through the archive and see, you know, the Bobo Shanti representatives. Even Ras Jabali has been interviewed. Coral Garden Benevolent Society, Leonard Howell, all of these different ones from the different entities have been interviewed. So, and that is part of the resource that we provide with the Lion Voice Network, is you can go forward into the archive and see the various interviews where we talk about the works of the RMO and the workers within the RMO, because we want RMO to be very transparent and to break the chains. RMO has already gone further than any other all-Manchan effort in the history of Jamaica. And I know because I was a part of the effort to build the Millennium Council. I was, you know, I drafted the constitution of both the RMO and the Millennium Council constitution, which was never executed. So I'm very intimately familiar, and the RMO is really a light right now in Jamaica in terms of the work. So we give thanks, Ras Jabali, for bringing that up, because it is important that we know what's happening in the different regions. And again, we are Rising Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media. So definitely tune into the Lion Voice, and we'll also be directing you to other media platforms like iYard Radio, like the Honorable Priest Isaac, like iJustar. We have different ones that we have been networking with to represent Rastafari from a media perspective, so we can keep in touch with the works in the various regions, so that we bridge that gap, because we don't need to work in isolation. We need to find ones who have like minds, and sometimes those ones are not present locally, but there are ones internationally that can work together to achieve things locally that are beyond, you know, what you could achieve locally working by yourself. So we have to leverage the technology and the connection to fulfill the work in this hour. So yeah, I hope that answered the question, Ras Jabali, and give thanks for that interjection and the I present same way.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will give thanks. Give thanks, Elder Jabari, for that question. We give thanks, Dejazmatch Kwasi, for that thorough explanation and engagement. Yes, so even what comes out of that is the importance of international legal inclination, or inclination of international law. We even saw it with His Majesty even during his regency, when after he successfully admitted Ethiopia into the League of Nations, and he successfully fought the legal battle with Britain and Italy pertaining the waters of Ethiopia, wherein they wanted, Britain wanted to impose on the water the Lake Tana, and Italy also wanted to build a railway, without the permission of Ethiopia. So the legal inclination, and also with the said battle itself, the invasion of Ethiopia, wherein His Majesty himself also used the platforms of the League of Nations, appealing to the international law. So it's very important indeed for I&I also to be able to use that for I&I protection as a community of Rastafari, even as Africans general, to be able to use the international law to I&I advantage. Yes, I see there's a hand from Rasandile. Rasandile is a co-founder from the Rastafari Family Channel. He's a co-founder of the Azania Roundtable, which you've just recently had, So he's co-working with the New Race Consciousness also in anchoring that platform. So yes, Rasandile.
Yes, I hail Emperor Haile Selassie, Empress Menen Asfao. Give thanks, family. Thanks for the controllers INT. And I give thanks to Dejazmatch Kwasi for a very wonderful and very insightful lecture, with the details, and gives us something to talk about, for the next few months among our circles, So we give thanks for the eyes effort at always raising the standard, even of INI as Rastafari, So it's quite inspirational and motivating for even I, to follow in such a steed, So as the IS said, INI from the Rastafari family channel, where our focus is on Rastafari content, which is family based and, looking at content from new race consciousness, even as the I and being able to elaborate on content and use the form of such as animation, books, and creating forums and places of discussion where we can engage each other and learn from each other. So we do look forward to engaging the eye through the auspices of the NRC, to see how we can build up on the foundation that the eye already has laid. So why not give much thanks for that? Then on the other hand, looking at the issue of INET and media, and I am a representative from RNC Secretariat, which is a unity of mentions and occasions in South Africa, which includes all the mentions in the South, as well as about 44 Rastafari organizations, coming together to form one front in terms of getting the recognition we need as Rastafari and being able to have one solid voice, when fighting for our rights, our recognition, even our sacramental rights as well, So we give thanks, and one of our aims within the RNC is also to build a good network, of relevant organizations in order to build Rastafari infrastructure that will take us forward in many ways, being able to build a collective economic base for INI and making sure that, money circulates among the Rastafari community, through initiatives such as the Rastafari Business Forum, and others which emphasize, and prioritize a Pan-African approach in terms of doing business, focusing within the family, before going outside to get what you need, So we do give thanks. We are also linking up with the RCC, and I am part of that initiative, as well as Queen Mother Moses. And we are having an event on November from the 11th to the 16th of November. And the focus is the AARG, All Africa Rastafari Gathering Trade Expo, which is a platform for Rastafari business on the continent and the diaspora, as we recognize the diaspora as part of the 6th region of Africa. So we do recognize ones represented by the RMO and in Jamaica as part of the continent, through that understanding, and would love to extend an invitation for ones and ones to also be part of this platform, as it's focused on intra-African trade, as INI Majesty had always encouraged for INI to trade among ourselves and create the economic base that we need from each other. I remember one of the installments we had of the ARG Trade Expo, we had a number of delegates coming from London. We had ones coming from St. Thomas, and and they were very excited, in terms of engaging the platform and using it also as a good base, for creating some cohesive works within the Rastafari community. One of the initiatives is the Mama Seal, made in Africa, made by Africans, which is a seal for verifying works of Rastafari coming from the continent, so that we can have a standard in terms of products which are made by INI from the continent, so that the standard is very high. Companies and producers are vetted to give only the best, and processes which includes transparency and quality control are also implemented, so that when one sees that seal, they are confident that this is the best product By supporting this product, I'm also supporting the continent and Rastafari on the continent, you know, and the broader Pan-African community to build an independent economic base, you know, for the continent as well, which includes the 6th region, you know. So, and I give thanks for the works also from the RMO, which are very inspirational, also to INI. So INI look forward to working hand in hand, you know, and building a very, you know, a tight-knit and setting a good global standard of moving Rastafari forward, you know, focusing on education as our foundation. As Majesty said, Ethiopia is one, and education is how we will keep it so, you know. So, and I urge ones, you know, to use education as a foundation so that we have one standard in terms of how we think, you know, how we express ourselves, how we articulate ourselves, and that easily informs, you know, the second part, which is economic development, you know, and going within that trajectory, I can reach higher and higher heights, which is Majesty and Empress Menen had destined for INI. So with those words, I give much thanks for the opportunity and the platform. Give thanks.
Sin, yes, sir, yes, sir. Give thanks, Rasandile, for that reasoning, yes, I, and that information on the upcoming and forthcoming works and the invitation which has been extended. We hope that even once who have interest would also extend the conversation so that if they are interested in the proper details, they can be able to get proper details and proper invitation communication. Yes, I. So we'll link up also afterwards. So in this time, and I would like to give to Sister Kitami has been raising a hand also this side on the standard. Yes, I give thanks.
Rastafari greetings again. Sister Kitami, today we will delve into the standards of Rastafari man, woman, and child, drawing inspiration from the exemplary lives led by Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Itege Menen Asfau. Just as a reminder, we all know that His Imperial Majesty and the Empress got married in 1911 on the 31st of July. And so this marriage was extremely significant in the Ethiopian history and Africa as a whole. The marriage lasted over 50 years. Now, I am not going to go through the slides. Due to time, I will just summarize both of the slides. Oh, let me go through the slides here. Some of the significant aspects we emulate from this union under unity and partnership. The Royal Union exemplified unity and partnership, supported each other in their roles as leaders, fostering stability and continuity. By emulating the sense of collaboration and mutual respect, we can strengthen any community or relationship. Cultural pride. The Emperor and the Empress celebrated their Ethiopian heritage. So their commitment to preserving Ethiopian culture, language, and tradition serves as a reminder to honor our own Rastafari cultural roots and promote cultural pride. Spiritual connection. We as the Rastafari view their union as sacred. While not everyone shares the same spiritual beliefs, recognizing the importance of shared values, faith, and spiritual connection can enhance relationships and communities. Now, under the leadership and compassion, Our Majesty's leadership style emphasized compassion, justice, and empathy. Emulating these qualities, being compassionate leaders who prioritize the well-being of others can positively impact any community. We consider Our Majesties as divine figures. This union embodies spiritual ideals and serves as a model for Rasta communities worldwide. Now, what we learn from this royal union is that their marriage is a symbol of balance and equity in bold departure from the norm. The emperor ordered the Empress Menen to stand side by side with him during their coronation, setting a new standard of equality and partnership in the Ethiopian monarchy. So for today's youth, their marriage can serve as a model of mutual respect, equality, and partnership. It also challenges traditional gender roles and promotes the idea of shared responsibilities within a relationship. Next slide, please. Now, I am going to go through a conversation shared between the Emperor and Dr. Abebe Ambekyo, the director of the Haile Selassie Prize Trust. This conversation is quite enlightening as it provides a glimpse into the Emperor's view on marriage and religious practices. I was called to the palace where the Emperor, in a fatherly way, scolded me and gave me a wedding gift. The audience went thus: Your Majesty, good morning. When is your wedding? This is now the Emperor to the Dr. Abebe Ambekyo. Good morning. When is your wedding? Majesty asked in a pleasant tone. Dr. Abebe Ambekyo answered, next Monday, Your Majesty. Next Sunday, Your Majesty. Your Majesty asked, are you getting married in church? Abebe answered, yes, at a Stephanos church. Majesty, very good. Are you taking the Holy Communion? Abebe, no, Your Majesty. He was rather quite uncomfortable then, anticipating that there will be a follow-up question. Now, Your Majesty continued, if you are getting married in church, why are you not taking the Holy Communion? Why is it that you young people don't take religious matters seriously? It is surprising. Marriage is such a holy undertaking that one should sanctify by taking communion. We wish you a happy marriage. A small gift will be sent to you. Now, this conversation underscores the Emperor's emphasis on the sanctity of marriage and the importance of religious matters. This dialogue can serve as a reminder for today's youth about the significance of religious traditions and the sanctity of marriage. It also highlights the Emperor's fatherly concern and guidance for his subjects. His gift to Dr. Abebe signifies his blessing as well wishes for the upcoming marriage. This conversation is a testament to the Emperor's wisdom and his commitment to upholding religious and cultural values. To our fathers, we love you. Please follow in the footsteps of His Imperial Majesty and the Empress, Isis.
Yes, I give thanks for that elaborate reasoning and testimony, Empress Kitami, from Dr. Abebe Ambekyo. Saying, we give thanks unto the Most High. So yes, still on the Rastafari standard. So because I now is approaching the third hour, so I don't know if there's any other person who still want to maybe make a comment as Anna is sealing up the item of Rastafari man, woman, and child standard. Yes, going once, going twice. Yes, I see a hand. Elder Ras Siwatu. I will be the last one. Give thanks.
Yes, I greetings, Sammy. A question. I like the item to just feel free, like, in the Orthodox Church, right? Emma just was talking about, so like that'll be communion. So within the Rastafari community, as we have Bengi and gatherings, that would be a good guidance to I and I, that when I and I, as the generation, having a union, that we blessed by the order that which we follow or which we gather with. Because sometimes you find like Rastafari family is known for the common law marriage, where sometimes sisters and them don't carry the surname, and then you find the older families have virginal children to the woman, and the woman don't carry the surname, but the children carry the surname. So I think that is one of the guides that I and as a younger generation need to forward with, to have the unions be blessed within the community that we gather with. Will strengthen the family as Rastafari. Rastafari, Isis I gratefully would sound and pause of the Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, Empress Menen, Rastafari.
Said. Yes, Elder, give thanks, Rastafari, for will, sound, and power, even for the genuine concern, that the elder put forward there. yes, I even more respect to the elders who are on the platform. Even I know from Nyabingi perspective that the elders have really even took time to sit down and look at the rites of passages, including, that of marriage ceremonies, So these are the topics that INI elders are also concerned with and are looking to solutions for, So yes, even all the strength can be used in this time, can be appreciated in a desa Iowa, because INI we need to be on one accord and in one part global, as INI is a global family. So we give thanks, Ancient, for the input and word sound, So we hope even INI who's listening will take it forward to INI respective corners. Yes, Rastafari. So yes, in this time, INI would like to give thanks to ones and ones who have been able to come through to be together with INI during this time. Even INI could have been somewhere preparing for other works, but INI was able to be among INI and share a moment with the Dejazmatch Kwasi and the New Race family. So INI will give thanks. So in this time, INI would like to hand to INI Director Rasmuabi to give the weight of the vote of thanks to the powers. Rastafari.
Thank you, Papa Tulo, for steering the tight ship. Ancients, let me take this opportunity to thank our esteemed presenter, Dejazmatch Kwasi. It has been quite insightful, quite revealing every time, in the words of Queen Mother Moses. We learn something new, very important. And would also like to take this opportunity to thank our participants, Queen Mother, Dr. Kahina Chenzira. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. Queen Mother Moses. It's good to see you again, Queen Mother Moses. I think, Ancients, we had an opportunity to meet with Queen Mother Moses in the past through the work that she does through Empress of Zion, quite progressive works. It's good to have her once again on this platform. And also like to acknowledge the presence of all the ites on the platform without any discrimination. I see Dr. Kush, Empress Faith. I will not go through all of the items. Papa Mutwena, who has given us an introduction. Morris Baba, Ratsandile, and with all the inputs and participation, Ratsiwat, highly appreciated. I think without the repetition of the presentation of our esteemed lecturer, we need to have more of these sessions. More of these sessions in order to ensure that we safeguard our future. One thing that I've noted that I wanted to comment on that the presenter had touched on was the 21 gun salute. There's also another narrative around the 21 gun salute, that its tradition is associated with a message that we come in peace. And I'm sort of like interested in symbolism. I think in my own part, it plays a particular role of significance. That we know that Her Majesty is the Prince of Peace, and even the role that he has played within the League of Nations and the UN around the importance of speaking to matters of peace. And to herald his coming of Her Majesty with the 21-gun salute, you know, I think there's a deeper, even spiritual symbolism around that, quite noteworthy. The interest of books, we cannot, as NRC, not mention, because that's precisely one of the interests of the organization, to produce books, publishing. I think contributions that have been made by the ITS have spoken about the need to look into enterprises, you know, to grow the resource, because resource is central on the work. We look at it as the necessary tool, you know, upon which we can carry out our organizational goals. Very, very important, the building of libraries. To hear that account from Hans Locott, I think Hans Locott is one of the authors who wrote a very critical book upon His Majesty. But what's interesting about that book is when you read in between the lines, it's quite revealing. The criticism that is sort of like unjustified naturally dies a common death, because it quite reveals a lot about the person of Her Majesty that the ancients had spoken to in quite great detail, especially around the divinity of Her Majesty. And this was also supported in a way by what the Chancellor of Cambridge University, Dr. Edmund Catney Pierce, who spoke about His Majesty possessing the knowledge far exceeding that of ancient Egyptians and Orientals. You know, and this is what we also found our presenter speaking to, you know, the kind of books that Her Majesty was exposed to at an early age. At some point, there's also an account that Her Majesty was well vested in the knowledge of necromancy, you know, so that will be sort of like the art of waking the dead, you know, quite interesting. Now as we get all these accounts from the ancients and now the new knowledge as it comes from forth through Papa Kwasi, it helps the organization to go out there in seeking to make known the teachings of His Majesty to the world community. You need this kind of content or knowledge production that has been presented to us in terms of the life or early childhood of Her Majesty in the birth specifically. So it's been very, very welcomed, the presentation. We would like to humbly thank you for availing yourself, and we look forward to having you in South Africa, and the kind of collaboration between all our organizations that has been spoken to on this platform. We would like to see the realization of that. It will be for the benefit of all our organization and all peoples of African descent, and more specifically to the Rastafari community. In those few words, we would like to say thank you. Re a leboha ka Sesotho. In Afrikaans, we would say baie dankie. Siyabulela ngesiXhosa, siyabonga ngesiZulu. And digital or virtual dinner, it served as we continue to educate the illiterate millions. Thank you. In the name of the Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menenai, Almighty Father who liveth and reigneth in all Mount Zion, as long as the sun, the moon, and the stars are durate forever and ever. We give thanks for this blessed opportunity. We look for many more of engagements of this nature. One love, Most High, Rastafari.
Selassie, Most High, Rastafari. Give thanks, Papa Moabi. Yes, I give thanks for those words, for the vote of thanks. Yes, I will give thanks once again to everyone who has been able to find time to be on the platform. We recognize the presence of Dr. Thandeka Makida. Yes, I Secretary General of the Rastafari Nation Council. I have been reasoning with Dejazmatch Kwasi to reach out to the doctor, Yes, I had to also link up with, because the doctor is very inspirational. She's one of the most educated people in the country, one of the most celebrated also among INI sons and daughters in the country. So we give thanks, Mara Thandeka, for the presence of the eye.
Yes.
Yes, I.
Hi.
Yeah. Yes, I, Mother.
Go ahead, Mama.
Okay, thanks and praises to the Musai Kedemawi Haile Selassie, Musai Rastafari, even his divine Empress, Empress Y0 Men and I greet the I in the house, give thanks to New Race Consciousness for hosting such a reasoning. So I encouraged by a Rastafari scholar that will create a new way of reasoning and thinking that is
Papa Tulo, I think Dr. Thandeka gets muted.
It's the network.
Oh. Hey, Dr. Thandeka, did you
Unmute.
let me unmute? Okay, Dr. Thandeka, are you able to unmute yourself? Dejazmatch Kwasi.
Yes, my mic seems not to work. I was just encouraging the brethren and the sistren that and I must follow His Imperial Majesty around education and using education to shape a new way of thinking that will help INI to innovate and to create solutions that will help to develop INI community and to remove poverty from INI midst and to be free mentally and analytically. Give thanks. So I'm encouraged by this forum, and I bless them, and I bless His Imperial Majesty and Her Majesty, especially as I prepare to celebrate His Majesty's Earth Day with the moon out and the sun was bright. So I give thanks and praises to the Most High. Sila.
Rastafari. Give thanks and praises. Give thanks and praises to everyone. Yes, even I tried to be futuristic. As I tried to explain earlier, that I tried to be futuristic in recording this session. I know that many of I will be in the ISIS, wherever I will be keeping the ISIS nationally, provincially. Yes, so I would like to heartily bless once and once, ask for the strength, ask for the Most High to lead I the way, so that I shall be redeemed to chant glory and sweet melody unto thy holy name. King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Rastafari.
So
Yes.
bless
Yes,
each and
I
everyone.
am Empress Menenai too. Yeah. Oh God, I'm so happy. Bless. Unity is the only solution.
I want to acknowledge the presence of the doctor. I heard so much about the eye, and I'm looking forward for the chance to reason with the eye and the Lion Voice Network, Honorable Doctor. So give thanks for the eye presence. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of one of our sister, Dr. Jazanai Kush from South Florida region, another academic who has been blazing a trail with the Blue Fire movement. So this is very much a unification that's taking place through the technology. And the item can see many interviews on Lion Voice with Dr. Jasanai there too. But the key is that we've just become very strategic and we connect the dots because we have everything that we need within Rastafari currently. And I just interviewed Dr. Robbie Shilliam, who is the chair of the political science department at Johns Hopkins University. That's on my channel now, and we're talking about the establishment of a Rastafari University. And these are the institutions that we have been tasked. We are the generation that has been tasked with the building of institutions that will last from generation to generation. So I want to leave the family with that sound, is let I come together to build institutions, because personalities come and go, institutions remain. And if we don't build institutions, then we're asking generations to come to start from zero and to do the work that we could have done in due season. So Mecca and I come together to do the work. If you're not subscribed to the Lion Voice Network, please, family, go to YouTube and subscribe to the Lion Voice Network. We're using that as a centralization. And I will also be identified. We're in the process through the Association of Rastafari Creatives, ARC, which I'm a founding member of, centralizing Rastafari independent non-aligned media. So we'll also be sharing other platforms that the item can go to and support. But we have to secure our media apparatus so that we control our narrative and so that we are creating content that speaks to I people. This is so crucial for the INIT and for the forward movements and the succession planning for the Rastafari family. So support. If you can afford to support financially, we give thanks. If you can't support financially, you support with your eyeballs and just watching the content, sharing the content. I'm appointing everyone in this call as an ambassador of the Lion Voice Network to go and tell other races, because our audience is mostly Rastafari, and I like it like that in this first phase, because we want to solidify the core of the family before we look to expand to the wider Pan-African family. So each one, teach one. Make sure your network is subscribed to the platform so that we can have information. And then the final thing is that I'm asking for footage. When the item gather, please send footage to the Lion Voice Network so we can share it with the global family, because I also want to be a resource that people can go to see works that are happening around the world. So I heard from the brethren about the INT in South Africa. When the item have the gatherings, if you have someone who can take out their cell phone, put it in landscape mode, which is this way, put it this way, not this way, but put it this way if you can, record some footage, and then you can email it to I through Ras Ainity or Sister Mimi or anyone else who has been working with I, so that we can show it on the platform, so that ones who are in different places on earth can see and be inspired. We're trying to destroy the narrative that Rastafari are not doing anything, that all we do is smoke ganja and listen to reggae music. We want to show the full spectrum of the works of I. So send them into the Lion Voice Network and let I broadcast so that we can rise as one. Give thanks and Isis.
Yes, I give thanks, Dejazmatch, Kwasi. Yes, I for that information, and I will certainly make good use of the details that the I has provided. Yes, and the item can also look out for the New Race Consciousness TV channel, the YouTube TV channel, and subscribe there. And I will also be uploading this video there, and I will also be sharing the link with the emails that have been shared with I&I. So with that being said, may the words of I&I mouth and the agitation of I&I heart be highly acceptable in thy sight, O thou Most High, Haile Selassie, and Empress Menen. Give thanks and access unto the Most High every time. Sila.
Grazie, Rastafari, Empress Menen. Giving thanks. Yes.
Aye,
Yes,
aye.
sir.